Whew.
It's on. It's on. We're good.
All right. We're not wasting much time today, Crimson and Blue Chips family, and really football family. Wow. That was, I don't know if anybody's seen anything like that. No matter what you were looking for in this Alabama-Georgia SEC championship game, you kind of got it. You got a big lead. You got a flawless performance from a quarterback who's going to totally be lost in the conversation in Jake Fromm. You got a Heisman frontrunner sort of stumbling. You got random injuries, mistakes. You got turnovers, surprises, coaching changes, and then you got what is going to be the central theme for the next month. So prepare for it if you're not a Jalen Hurts fan, because wow, he comes in down 7, ties the game up, converts I think 4 third down plays, scores 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and takes Bama, secures Bama's number 1 ranking in the college football playoff, and sends the Tide into it without any conversation, without any worry, without any question, which is something that Alabama has not enjoyed for a couple of years. So, man, it's hard to put this stuff into words. That was, like we said, as producer Kev joins us here, Kev, everything. That game had absolutely everything in it. I'll give you the floor. Just kind of what are your initial thoughts? What's going through your mind watching this entire game, and obviously, especially that fourth quarter?
I mean, I don't, like you said, I don't think anybody has seen anything to the magnification or anything of what just happened. And I don't want to hear nothing from you Bama fans talking about, oh my God, we love Jalen now. Like, you all hated Jalen. Now you want to be all on it. So y'all called us Jalen lovers.
They're like, move him to receiver. Move him to another
move
position.
him to receiver. Make him an H-back. Blah, blah, blah. No, he's a quarterback and he's a winner.
Let him transfer.
We've said it for all year. He's a winner, and that they were going to need him at some point this year. And lo and behold, SEC title game, Georgia, the roles are reversed. Jalen comes in and plays lights out in a must-need situation. So I think that was huge, not only just for Jalen, but I mean that was huge for Alabama. Period. You don't win that game, now they're in a conversation of, oh, do they get in? But now, he solidified that number 1 ranking. There's going to be no conversation therein. Now it's going to be the conversation of who gets in at 4. So
they solidified everything.
Yeah, I mean, now they've shown
your C game against a quarterback playing basically perfect. I mean, we can look at the 39 attempts of Jake Fromm and try to find some bad throws or decisions, but you'd really, really be nitpicking here. This was almost a perfect game. You survived that in Atlanta against all of the momentum in the world with your backup quarterback. They answered every question they could have possibly had. Everybody wanted to know, what could this team do if they got hit in the mouth? That was tonight. What could this team do if they had a bit of a deficit? That was tonight multiple times. They cut it down to 7, and it ballooned right back to 14 on that third quarter. Really the throw of the game, Jake Fromm to Riley Ridley to extend the lead back up to 2 touchdowns. So they dealt with adversity at multiple points and did so with, frankly, 2 injured quarterbacks on bum wheels, and they still manufactured 35 points against an SEC top 5 team in the country that knows them about as well as anybody, and has literally spent 2 years trying to figure it out for 4 quarters. Georgia has dominated each first half of these 2 games, but obviously Alabama has dominated the second and especially the fourth quarter. Today, 14-0 in the fourth quarter in terms of the scoring for Alabama against Georgia. This team answered the bell no matter how you could have asked it. They've dealt with injuries. They've dealt with depth issues all across the board. They've had to adjust their game plan. They've had to readjust their game plan and kind of reset at different points in this game alone. And everybody collectively did it to the point that Nick Saban was lost for words. Nick Saban was choked up in the post-game interview. I had my DVR.
When's the last time you seen that?
I had to rewind it. I'm like, wait, Did I just hear
No,
that?
I
Or is
came
this
in.
just the journalist in me kind
Yeah.
of hoping that he's a human being? Like, hold on, like, let me rewind that back, hit it back one time. And this man was choked up with his backup quarterback, who we've said he's been weird about the quarterbacks all year, but man, he comes up looking like roses with all of the weirdness because it has worked out there like it has worked out nowhere else in the United States of America. Not at Clemson, where everybody talks about the culture, not at Ohio State, where everybody has looked at the winning and the quarterback success at the collegiate level, almost unparalleled to other places. It has worked at Alabama. You didn't have the transfers. You didn't have the guy get out of Dodge, and the storybook literally comes full circle against the same team in the same building. I mean, it's the 30 for 30 is probably somebody's writing it right now, right?
Somebody's writing it as we speak.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. And again, the narrative, the two narratives that are going to be lost in this game for me are Jake Fromm proving how elite he is, and Jalen Hurts is going to get all these accolades and everything, and he should. But lost in that narrative, I hope it isn't lost, but I feel like it will be. Is that he is not healthy? That's going to be lost in it because he ran for one, he threw for one, he scrambled out of some tough situations and some traffic, and I don't want the narrative to be, oh well, yeah, he came in, he was waiting for his opportunity, and he was good to go, and he took advantage. It's not that simple, and I think that makes it kind of more telling, more fitting, more beautiful. All of those words, just man, how could you not love sports and ball? If you're some dude from I don't know Greenland and you're a foreign exchange student in America today, and you happen to be watching this, how could you not be compelled to continue to watch it after this? That was, man, just something that we've never really seen with all of those components mixed in. And like you said, topped off with old Saint Nick shedding a tear as the calendar turns to December. That game had everything.
I was setting up the camera and everything, getting ready to go live, and I wasn't watching the post game stuff. And my girl comes in here and she goes, "Yo, Saban just cried," and I was like, "What?"
And she don't even follow it like that.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like she's like, she doesn't follow it like we. But she watched this fourth quarter with me and was just like, "What is happening?" And I was like, "You're about to see greatness right here." But no, she comes in here, opens the door. She's like, "Are you live yet?" And I was like, "No." And she goes, "Saban just shed a tear in the post game interview," and I was like, "Excuse me, what?"
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, what? But yeah, I mean that's gotta be a new
unbelievable,
a new thing there. But yeah, I mean what a story. I mean, can't make this stuff up.
No, and for those who didn't see that part, Nick after the game, of course, was the first interview that CBS wanted to get on there, rightfully so, and he couldn't put together his thoughts on how proud he was with the team coming back, fighting through all of the adversity, and obviously the microcosm within that of Jalen Hurts doing so, taking care of Tua like Tua took care of him. He couldn't, he couldn't get it out, and that's like we've seen this man pissed off as he wins a national championship because he didn't want the Gatorade dunked on him against Texas.
Exactly.
Like he was pissed off. I remember laughing. What was that? 10 years ago now. I remember laughing like, look at this man. Like he's so angry that he's pissed off when he gets Gatorade dunked on him. My phone has not stopped blowing up since this game ended. How could he be mad at this moment? That guy couldn't put together the words after winning a conference championship, which, let's be honest, doesn't mean a lot. And Bama's probably in otherwise. Story for another day, especially now. But after a conference championship, that's the reaction he had. And I think that is the fitting kind of icing on the cake for the storyline of today in this game and this team and in this year. It is now Bama is battle tested. So not sure what else anybody could say about them at this point. Battle tested, and you can't beat their first or second string quarterback.
So, yeah, that was the whole thing.
That's the whole deal.
That was the whole thing coming into it. Is they were the whole knock on Alabama this year was going to be, oh, they're not going to play a game. They're not going to be tested. They're not going to have to, come from behind. They're going to be blowing everybody out. But they got tested tonight and they persevered. Good for them. So I think that's pretty much might be a wrap for everybody else.
DJ says y'all should fire Dave out of respect for Jalen. Where is Dave? Can you get him on?
Hey, I'm trying.
Yeah, let's text him again. That man needs to be on here.
I know. As soon as he went in, I was like, "It's a wrap, Dave. It's gonna happen." And Dave was like, "Nah." And I was like, "It's gonna happen, Dave." I was like, "He's gonna win."
Yeah, that is that's Dave's worst nightmare, but he'll take it.
Yeah,
he'll take it because he's a real Bama fan.
He'll take it. It's amazing.
He's a real Bama fan. Yeah, that's his deal there. If you can give me a minute, Kev, you want to go through some stats? For those wondering, post-game quotes and things like that, they're going to do the ceremony on the field and all that, so it might be a little bit before we get the conventional post-game quotes in terms of injury updates for Deontay Brown, Tua Tagovailoa, anybody else who was banged up. So sit tight for that. But I got the feeling we might be on here for a little bit, Kev.
Yeah. So if we want to go, we'll go final stats through the game. Let's see here. Okay. Tua was 10 of 25 for 164, a touchdown and 2 picks. Jalen was 7 of 9, 82 yards and 1 touchdown, averaged 9.1 a pop. Jacobs had 8 carries for 83 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Damian had 9 for 52. Jalen had 5 for 28 and a touchdown. Jalen Waddle had 4 for 113 and a touchdown.
That cat.
That's just ridiculous.
That dude is him and DeAndre Swift. Good Lord.
Once again, he catches the intermediate crossing route and just outruns everybody to the corner.
Unbelievable.
I really would like to have know what that laser time is because
I want the shuttle time. I don't care about the 40. Give me that shuttle.
He might be in the
that stop to start is that's sub 4 seconds if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, I mean that's pushing under 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's your Bama stats, and then it's gonna get lost in translation, but I mean Jake Fromm was 25 of 39 for 301 and 3 touchdowns.
Jake Fromm made some cash money today.
And he played one of the best games of a quarterback I've seen so far this year. And I mean, could have been the MVP in a losing effort. I mean,
yeah.
He played that good. I said in my preview that they were going to have a big game from the running backs. And, Swift had 16 carries, 75 yards, and a touchdown. And Holyfield had 14 for 60. So there's your for receiving, Isaac Nada, 4 for 81 and a touchdown. And then Swift had 6 for 63 and a touchdown. And Ridley had 5 for 59 and a touchdown. So Fromm kind of spreading the ball out. But they played a great game. Both teams played a great game.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a great football game. Like, how could you not enjoy that? I know most of our audience did not enjoy that as much as me and you did throughout most of the game, certainly throughout the first 40 minutes or whatever. But just goodness gracious, that game had absolutely everything. Like, where do we even go from here? I mean, can we go to the argument for Georgia to be in despite having 2 losses? Do we go? Because if you're talking purely, I don't want to get on this tangent, but just real quick, if you are talking about the 4 best teams in college football,
so what? We would get a rematch in the semis.
I'm fine with it. I mean, how could you not want to see that again? Unless you're a Bama fan or a Georgia. If you're a Georgia fan, you definitely want to see it again. Unless you just take the L and say, look, we can't beat this team. But as a football fan and as a committee, how could you not want to see this again in 30 days or whatever it is, 28 days? I'm cool with it. Let that be 1 versus 4. See what happens tonight with Clemson and Notre Dame and figure it out. Figure it out with those other teams. Give me that again. Give me that again with a month to prepare as both of these teams lose coordinators to other jobs and the storyline of the quarterbacks, all 3 of them from Tua and Jalen. First of all, we should add another quarterback to that because the Justin Fields play, faking the punt
That's awful.
First of all, there's two elements to a fake punt. Okay,
you have to disguise it.
The call and going through with it. There's always an out. Typically, there is an out to be had. If the alignment isn't there, if the look isn't there, you have the opportunity to get out of it. Nick Saban kept the base defense on the field. There was no return set up. So I believe it was like 4th and 10 plus or something like that. There's no reason to fake that punt.
No.
Tie game against a backup quarterback. Obviously, we know what happened after that, but there's no reason to do that. So you put it on Kirby, but you also put it on Justin Fields. And I know, he's a freshman and all that. I don't care. If he's in the game at that point, it means they've been working on this for quite some time. And I guarantee you there was some sort of out there that Justin Fields ignored. I don't know if we want to call it selfish. I don't know what we want to call it on Justin's part. Maybe they did tell him, hey, no matter what, you go do this. Maybe that's what they said, and that would be ridiculous coaching if that was the case, and really an insult to Justin's intelligence. But either way, that call just can't be made, whether it was purely from the coaching perspective or if Fields had a two-way go to say, you know what, call it off, just punt it. There's no look that could have been worse for that Georgia offense, or that Georgia punting unit, I should say, than what Bama put out there. It was a punt safe, first team defense out there, nobody beyond 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. Everybody saw the number 1 or 2 quarterback recruit in the country from last year on the field, because I'm sure all week Bama's been working on, hey, when one comes in, all eyes on him, this is what we're going to do kind of thing. And you trot him out there with the game on the line. That was wild. I couldn't believe it. That was a lot of elements of this game were speechless to me, and that one is like 2 or 3. It's Nick crying, it's Jalen doing what he did, and then probably that in terms of the most speechless items of this game. And we could probably make a list of 10, but just unbelievable. But like we were saying before, Kev, where do we go with the conversation? Do we argue for Georgia to be in? Because I would surely like to see this rematch in a couple of weeks. Or do we go deeper into the game? What went wrong for the Bama defense? What went wrong for Tua Tagovailoa and the offense? I mean, where do we want to go? I mean, play producer here, because I got ammo wherever you want to go, wherever you want to hunt. We got some ammo.
Yeah, so I think we'll start with trying to make a case for Georgia getting into the playoffs at number 4.
Okay, it's very simple. Name 3 teams that you know are better than Georgia right now.
Name 3 that are better?
Alabama. So 3 more after that.
Crickets.
You see me sipping my tea? Yeah.
Yeah.
3 teams better. I'd probably give Clemson the nod over them.
I would say Clemson.
I would not give Notre Dame the nod over them.
Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't give Ohio State the nod over them.
No.
I definitely wouldn't give Oklahoma the nod over them.
Not at all.
Oklahoma, I mean, where do you go? I get the record question, right? I get it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Georgia's 2 losses were to top 10 teams. And including the number 1 team that everyone thinks is going to win the national championship in Alabama. And that was by the skin of Alabama's teeth. And a redemption song that Bob Marley couldn't predict.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking just if we're talking what it's supposed to be in the 4 best teams, then I think you can't. I mean, yeah, Oklahoma, no. Ohio State, no. I mean, Clemson's my only one that I would say I would feel comfortable saying.
Yeah, I mean, just play Las Vegas. Who would you favor over Georgia today, December 1st, 7:14 Central Time? Who are you favoring over Georgia on a neutral field today? Go.
And after that game, after the performance, Clemson might not even be favored.
Yeah, you could make that argument, right?
Yeah.
You can make that argument because Clemson's defense is like the opposite of Georgia's in terms of where they're a little deficient. Yeah. But again, after this performance, who could you honestly say should be favored over Georgia in a matchup? And that's what's tough about this game for them, because really, obviously, Georgia had a lot more to lose than Alabama, because now they're purely on the committee's fate. Was the best loss possible, which I guess this was, this fashion, I should say. Was that enough to stay at number 4? Because remember, Georgia's number 4 right now. So if you're the committee, you're saying Georgia needs to move down in order for somebody to move up. Georgia lost this game as number 4. I'm looking at SEC Network right now. Number 1 Alabama defeats number 4 Georgia. So you're saying that these teams need to move up over Georgia, and we all know Notre Dame is playing, or Notre Dame isn't playing. Excuse me, I said that earlier as well. Clemson is playing Pitt, which is, I don't think they're ranked, or they're in the 20s if they are. 24. Ohio State is playing another team in the 20s. Ohio State shouldn't even be in the conversation to me. That's a story for another day. Just where do you go? Who jumps them? Who should jump them? Oklahoma? Really?
Nah.
Oklahoma with that defense?
No.
Oklahoma gave up 50-something the other day. And the only reason they won is because they stopped them on a 2-point conversion. Like, if you give up 50 points, you shouldn't be allowed to be in the playoff, period. If you ever give up 50 points, you're out. New rule. Commission today. You give up 50 points in a college football game, you're out. You're done. You're done. That's come on. 4 best teams, not 4 best offenses, 4 best teams. And the way Jake Fromm and DeAndre Swift and that Georgia offensive line, which would be another lost narrative here, they played their ass off, their collective asses off. The way those guys are playing, with the promise that Georgia defense showed for 2.5 quarters today, how could you? I mean, Georgia dominated this game.
Yeah.
Georgia dominated Alabama. Nobody has even made Alabama drop a bead of sweat. And Georgia dominated them for the majority of this game. Some of those were Bama's, on Bama. Drop passes, mental errors, incompletions, red zone turnovers for Tua, things like that. Absolutely. Injuries, penalties, all of those things factor in, yes. But if there was no score bug and you didn't go to ESPN and get your the update on stats and things like that, and you just watched the game and the lines of scrimmages and the skill guys, Georgia was the better team for the majority of this game.
Sure.
Nobody else has made Bama work hard. So, again, find me teams that should be favored over Georgia, and I think that number is 1, maybe 2. I think it's Bama, which now if they do meet again, that line's going to be very small, and then it's probably Clemson, and that's it. I don't think Notre Dame is favored over them on a neutral field. And again, definitely not Ohio State, Oklahoma. Who else is even in the conversation?
I mean, the only other one would be UCF.
Yeah, I don't care about them. So
I know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, they won today, did they?
Yeah, they pulled it out.
Yeah, if you give up 40 points to Memphis, you're not allowed to go in the playoff either. Exactly. Second rule. Second rule. Can you tell that I'm a defensive guy? I know it's 2018, but come on. If you give up 40, 50 points, you no.
Yeah.
Actually, Kirby Smart's at the podium now. Kev, I'll let you run off some other items you want to get to. I'm going to see if Twitter will help me figure out what in the world he was thinking on that fake punt. I'm hoping for Kirby's sake this was a selfish Justin Fields moment, because anything else wouldn't make sense football wise, honestly.
Anything else is fireable.
I mean, good Lord, Kirby.
I mean, we've all seen some bad play calling, and we've all seen some questionable play calling, but Jesus Christ, that was probably the worst play call and not even the fact that it was like the worst play call, but it was the worst time to even think about that. Like, you're in a tie ball game, like, just punt it and hope to God you're going to overtime.
And the guy who
the way your defense
beat you last year, the guy who beat you last year is hurt in the tent, in the Tua tent, which is what we're going to call it now.
You got the backup quarterback in. Your defense has played very well all game. Just punt the ball, try to get it inside the 20, and live for overtime. Like, Jesus Christ! Like, don't do that. It was awful, and I think that if it was designed and they said you do it no matter what, then it's the worst play call, like, probably ever.
Yeah, I'm looking up some Kirby stuff now on the old Twitter sphere, and only quote I've seen is that Kirby said Alabama doesn't want to see Georgia in the playoffs, and I get why he would say that. Obviously, I mean Bama shouldn't care who they play in the playoffs, but I would love to see Kirby. Hey, I would love to see y'all play again. That'd be great. So
football fans would like it.
Yeah, I mean he's got to plead to the committee now. With what 12, 18 hours or 16 hours away from the committee laying out that Final Four. He's got to make that case because again we're making the case for him. Hey, outside of that not smart decision, this Georgia team was damn good tonight. DeAndre Swift is a problem. Let me pull up the stats here. Don't know why he doesn't get more touches.
That's
I guess he had 16 carries and 6.
Yeah, he had 16 for 75.
I don't care. Give him more. He averaged almost 5 yards a pop as a runner, 10 as a receiver, scored a touchdown in both facets.
I just don't understand
carries. Just delegate a few more of those to DeAndre because him in space is quite tough. Him and Jalen Waddle, it's just like they can't have enough touches. Those two, and they're both teenagers, which is just ungodly to think about.
And I understand riding the hot hand, and you have a quarterback who's playing lights out, but like you're trying to run clock, you're trying to like put that ball in Swift and Holyfield's hand and run the ball, like just try to run the clock out. I mean, they had 16 and 14 carries total, which I don't think is enough. I don't think.
Yeah.
I said
they manufacture the touches. I mean, I didn't see many screens. Saw a couple of swing screen type plays for DeAndre, but no conventional screens. I feel like at the end he just didn't get the ball very much, and he was killing Bama. He was doing what Sony Michel did to Alabama last year. Those slashing, knifing guys are a lot to deal with. Again, Twitter not helping me out because in the search for Kirby Smart, I'm just getting a lot of memes about Kirby not being, of course, smart. So, so we're struggling to find comment on that. But either way, kind of unacceptable. All right. So there's the case for Georgia in the playoff. Kev, you want to go more into this game? Now that the Bama won it, and these fans won't crush us for going a little deeper in the game itself.
Well, we'll probably get called haters, but
I mean, should we love?
No, I mean there was nothing.
Who should we show love to?
There really wasn't anything to love, period, until midway through the third quarter, when Tua started warming up. And they started looking more like the Bama offense from throughout the year. I don't know what I struggle with whether or not it was like what was going on first and second quarter with not only play calling. I wasn't real like I haven't said that about Loxley so far this year, but I wasn't really impressed with the play call in the first half.
There were some inconsistencies there. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like everything they had been. It just didn't look like the offense we'd seen this year. They just looked. They looked out of sorts. They looked. They just didn't look themselves. The ball, like Tua wasn't throwing the ball well. Receivers weren't catching the ball well.
That was weird too.
Yeah, I mean, you got
a lot of weirdness tonight. Weird game.
And then, running the ball decently, and then again Deontay Brown goes down dealing with the turf toe, which is awful for offensive linemen. Lester comes in, and the running game takes a hit, and now you get to the half, and then come out in the second half. The first series, the second half awful again. And then they find the rhythm more and more getting into the third quarter. And then, I mean, I'm not a medical professional, but it didn't look good. Which time?
The second
when he gets stepped on.
Yeah. Jonah Williams steps on him, and obviously
that didn't look good. And then the fact that they wanted to cart him off, and props to him. He said no, I'm not going. I want to stay, and I want to stay and support my team.
Do what Jalen did for him.
Yeah, exactly. So now and you saw him testing it out and all that. So now you're getting I got it. Now you wonder exactly how bad that injury was or is.
Yeah, that's obviously going to be a secondary storyline here for the next 20-something days before this game goes down. 100% worthy. But man, as Bama fans, you got to feel good about it. You got to feel as good as you possibly can about your top guy not being out there with what Jalen Hurts did today and what he's done over his career, really. And I think what makes this quarterback situation just an ultimate storyline, especially if it's Bama-Georgia again, but even for just the Bama side of it, not only is Tua and Jalen an injury question, a workload question, things like that, but what about Mike Locksley? Mike Locksley has been rumored to be the guy at Maryland. And it could come as soon as tomorrow or this coming week. So how does that impact things? Does Dan Eno slide right in and now call plays? What about Josh Gaddis, who is currently listed as the co-offensive coordinator? That's where things, to me, get even more interesting when it comes to this quarterback situation, beyond the simple fact that, hey, these bum ankles need to be fixed and need to be rested upon. But beyond that, what about the guys leading the charge with those two? Because there was a comfort immediately when Jalen Hurts came in with what Mike Locksley was doing. Yes, he did not call a great game, but when Jalen came in, everything was better. Everything was smoother, and he allowed him to go to work. And Hurts goes 5 for 5 on third down. Tua, I don't know if he converted more than one or two. And Jalen goes 5 for 5 on third down, including a touchdown run, a touchdown pass. That I thought the floater over the right side on the scramble to Jalen Waddle, who made some unbelievable plays today, was kind of the defining play. The one that made me say I didn't know if Jalen Hurts could do that because he showed touch, he showed timing, accuracy, all of those things. That was unbelievable from Jalen Hurts. But Mike Locksley, it was seamless when he came in the game. You saw some quarterback design runs with Tua. You saw very similar with Jalen with some even distribution there. And obviously, guys made plays for Jalen when Bama needed it. Waddle on multiple occasions going high for one, catching one on the sidelines, and then obviously the long one where he hit the afterburners on Richard LeCount. But I thought Mike Locksley managed it very well at that point, and you just wonder what the distribution is with these quarterbacks in practice, the workload, how even was it, how banged up was Tua before tonight? I think you wonder about all those things, but Mike Locksley, for what it's worth, once the fate of the game in terms of personnel was determined, I thought he was at his best compared to the rest of the night where it was inconsistent, to say the least. I actually just pulled it up on my calculator. Alabama running backs. So you're talking Josh Jacobs, Damian Harris, Najee Harris, averaged 7.14 yards per carry tonight. So if we're saying that DeAndre Swift needs more touches, all the Bama running backs need more touches. There's still not a guy in the 10 carry range. 9 for Damian, 8 for Josh, 4 for Najee. And all of those guys had double-digit runs, even though they didn't get to ever get in a rhythm beyond Jacobs on the one drive. So if there's criticism, it was about the distribution of run-pass. Alabama, 34 attempts in the passing game, 29 in the running game technically, but 8 of them went to quarterbacks. So those aren't always designed runs for the quarterback. So a little bit pass heavy from Alabama, which is okay if things are going well, but at some point you have to adjust, especially when you're having great success with the running backs. Like we said, 7 yards a pop for the running backs. It was starting to feel like Georgia LSU with Bama being Georgia, in that the running was having so much success, but the score was maybe dictating, hey, we need to come off of it, even though it was so early in the third quarter when Bama got behind at 14 points twice in this game.
True story.
Do we have Dave?
Yeah, we
yeah,
do.
man. I'm
Oh,
here.
snap.
Well, what's up,
Dave,
guys?
Just let's all move out of the way.
Timeout.
Virtually.
And
First off,
Go.
congratulations to my fellow Bama fans on a hell of a win. SEC champs. No one could take that from us. 13-0. Playoffs, here we come. Guys, we're not going to talk about what happened in our group text message. That's not going to happen. But I will say this.
Hey, we haven't brought it up.
Jalen Hurts, I am forever grateful for you, Jalen Hurts. That is one hell of a comeback win. That's one hell of 2 drives, just throw after throw. Third down, I just heard you mention he was 5 for 5 on third downs. The touchdown run. What a freaking comeback win. Unbelievable. And those throws, those were not throws that he would have made last year. Those were big-time throws. The throw to Irv Smith over the middle. That was a strike. That's accurate. That was had velocity on it. Perfect placement. The throw to Waddle on the sideline. Waddle made a hell of a catch. The two Waddle sideline throws. Sorry. And both were great catches. The scramble where he hit Judy in the end zone. I thought he was going to take that and run it himself. I thought there was some room there. He wouldn't have gotten a touchdown. There was a defender coming up, but
Kev,
hell of a throw.
Are you recording this?
well, I mean, it automatically records anyway. So.
Good. I just wanted to double check because the comment section is popping right now.
Make no mistake about this, fellas. This is not a quarterback controversy, and Tua is still our guy. But you could record this, and I will say this: Jalen is going to be forever a legend in Alabama history. What a performance!
What surprised you most, Dave, about tonight? With Jalen, because I know we can go a lot of directions with that, but just with Jalen, what surprised you the most?
You know what? At that point in the game, the offense was struggling. You know, whether it be Tua having some bad decisions, Loxley I thought had a terrible game. We'll get into that a little bit later, but he came in, he settled down, and he moved the football. I mean, there's nothing you can't say that he did exactly what Tua was doing all season. He came in, he moved the football, and then went in for touchdowns. And the throws that he made were big time throws. These weren't, wide open receivers. This wasn't a blown coverage by Clemson on O.J. Howard. These were big time throws in big time spots. And for that, he deserves a hell of a lot of credit.
Speechless.
We love you, Dave.
Dave, what else? Me and Kevin have kind of gone over a couple of things. One being the bonehead decision between Kirby, Justin Fields, or whoever had that final say. We went through Georgia's case to be a top 4 team because we couldn't name more than a team or two that would be favored over Georgia on a neutral field. Where do you stand on Georgia as a playoff team despite the loss? Where do you stand on kind of the turning points of the game?
Sure. So has there ever been a 2-loss team in the playoffs?
No.
Okay. So there you go. This team also lost. This Georgia team lost to LSU by 20 points. If we're going to get on Ohio State for losing to nobodies by 30, and yes, LSU is a little bit better than Purdue and a little bit better than Iowa the year before, but that's a bad loss. Agreed?
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed.
No doubt.
Okay, so I wouldn't have a problem if they put Georgia in. Yes, they gave everyone a good game tonight and very entertaining, and Nick Saban said in his presser, yes, I wouldn't want to play them. Agreed. You can make the case that on a neutral field, yes, they're right there at Oklahoma. They're right there with Ohio State. But Oklahoma had a big win, and against Texas, which was a solid opponent. They've only lost 1 game all year to Texas in a close game. I would put Oklahoma 4. That's what I would have. I wouldn't bitch about it if Georgia got in. Understandably,
who would you? Okay, you're a Bama fan. Who would you rather play, Oklahoma or Georgia? Who does Bama beat more easily?
Who would I rather play? Honestly, every time we play Georgia is a very stressful game for me. So that's just like because losing to Georgia is not the same as losing to Oklahoma. So for me, I would rather play Oklahoma. But yeah, both teams would be very solid opponents first round. I mean, Oklahoma would put up 50 on our defense tonight. So yeah, I'm curious to see what they're gonna do. It's gonna be a hard decision for them. I think Ohio State's gonna win big tonight. I'm not sure what the score is in that game. Maybe you guys could fill me in there. I know Clemson got up 7-0 early.
They just
in their
scored again.
game.
14-0.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. See, I could see it either way. What do you guys think the committee's going to do come Selection Sunday?
I don't think they'll put Georgia in, but I think they should. I've normally, I'm like contradicting myself from previous years and weeks and all of that, but I'm okay with it. I'll admit it when I'm doing it. I don't think there's 3 or 4 teams, I should say, better than Georgia. I think on a neutral field, I would favor Alabama, and I'd probably favor Clemson very slightly. I would not favor Notre Dame over Georgia on a neutral field.
No,
I would not favor Oklahoma. I would not favor Ohio State. I would not favor Michigan, UCF, whoever the hell else you want to put in there. So if you just look at it that way, I think they're a 3 or 4.
One of the 4 best. Okay,
my
that's
bubble.
solid.
But that's, these are humans. This is the committee. Those 2 losses and the way they lost to LSU are going to rub people the wrong way. So I don't think they'll be in, but I would have them in.
All right, that's
I think
fair.
I think they want. I think the committee's going to do Tua versus Kyler. I think that's going to be
a great match.
And whoever wins the Heisman is going to lose the game because that's usually how bowls work. So Bama fans root for Kyler to win that Heisman, and I think he might right? just now.
He might after today. I think so. And let's get to Kirby's. I know you guys touched on it a little bit. I didn't hear what you guys had to say, but that I was shocked. First of all, the cameras. I was watching on CBS. I don't know. The cameras did not pick up that punt right away. They were like kind of spacing out at that point because it's like, okay, it's 4th and 11. It's going to be a punt.
4th and 11. My God.
Well, all I saw was that
it's not even 4th and 11. It's not even the 11 yards.
It was the end zone. It was the end zone shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the end zone shot, and there wasn't a wall where there usually was, and there was one standing back there with a punter behind him, and I was like, he's gonna fake this.
It's not even 4th and 11 that made this so bad. It was like even a 4th and 4. How on God's earth do you have a fake punt when you're at the 50-yard line? The opposing starting quarterback just got injured, and you have 2 or 3 timeouts left, 3 minutes. Go play defense. Your defense has played well enough. Make a stop or 2, get the ball back in solid field position, and drive and kick a field goal and win the game. Or, maybe Alabama turns it over. Jalen Hurts didn't play so much in the game. Didn't play so much all season. He's not 100%. How do you make that call? Kirby should get blasted for such a call.
I found the quote finally. Kirby on the fake punt. This is per Dan Wolken. Quote, "We have been carrying that. We thought it was there. It was there. We had a guy wide open, but took so long to snap it. Alabama was able to cover it. Kirby continued on the fake punt call. I wanted to be aggressive. We were playing to win the game." Herm Edwards voice. Again, Kirby, nobody's hating on the possibility of you making that call. It makes sense. Stay aggressive, whatever, to have that option. But it shouldn't be a foregone conclusion. That's where I sit with it. Either Kirby has to call a timeout, yell at Justin Fields to call it off, or Justin Fields, being a quarterback, and don't give me, he's a freshman. Look at what Jake Fromm did last year. Look at what Tua Tagovailoa did last year. Look at what Jalen Hurts did as a freshman. Look at all these freshman quarterbacks around the country making big boy plays and big boy decisions. Somewhere along the line, you have to call it off. Kirby said he thought it was there. I saw 100 replays. I rewound it on my DVR. It was never there.
Nothing was there.
It was never there. Bama was in punt safe the whole time.
Covered. Yes.
Bama never set up a return. They never tried to make it seem like they were setting up a return. There was no disguise in coverage. This was a simple, we don't trust this. It's at midfield, which is what Bama does almost always when the ball is in that zone between 40 and 40, which you always hear about, in that zone of risky, okay, we might see a fake here zone. Bama was prepared for it like they always are. The look was never there. So Kirby is now blaming either the play clock, Justin Fields' cadence, or the long.
Yeah. Of course, Kirby.
You got to take that on the chin as a coach.
Take the damn timeout. That's it.
You can't. If you're a coach, guys, don't blame the kid.
That is BS. Play to win the game is to punt the ball in that situation. It's not 4th and 1 where you say play to win the game. I'm going to go for it and be aggressive. We get stopped. It's 4th and 11. 11, punt the ball. That is not a trick play.
And the thing about it was a tie game.
Yeah,
a tie game. It's not like you were
defense
down.
is not getting shredded. It's against, like I said, it's against Jalen Hurts, who hasn't played much all season long. He's not even 100%. Why? I don't. If I'm a Georgia fan, I'm just livid with that call. Sorry, if my coach ever makes a call like that, I am livid. Terrible call.
Switching gears here, Dave. Speaking of never seeing anything like it, what about Nick tearing up there at the end? Have you ever seen that one?
It reminded me of last year when he was like happiest moment of my life kind of thing. You know that he's like the biggest Jalen fan, and he's super loyal to Jalen, and he's got to be a moment for him. I mean, yeah, Jalen might transfer after this year, and Saban made some interesting comments recently about that.
Jalen's going to the league, Dave. Come on.
Oh yeah,
Jalen made $500,000 in another round tonight.
Awesome, good for him. But yeah, no, it's Saban. He was loyal to Jalen, and he also has that loyalty because Jalen stayed. You know, he understands the nature of college football. He sees the transfers that go on at the quarterback position. He's even commented at it after that Clemson quarterback Kelly Bryant transferred midseason. So it's a big moment, and it proves the point that anything could happen. You know, your quarterback can go down. It's a big game. This is not a stupid, silly game where the quarterback gets run in the second half. This is a big moment, and stick it out. And both were rewarded with the results you saw tonight. I mean, come on. How awesome is that for everyone involved? So,
hey, Dave, DJ in the comments says Jalen is a first-round pick now.
All right, good. Go for it.
It's not a great quarterback draft, Jalen. I'm just saying. It's not a great draft. This might be the year.
Y'all relax. Let's stay on point now. All right.
All right.
You gotta take your year. This is your year.
Take the shot.
Northwestern scored.
Nice.
Pull a Kirby. Just go for it.
Have you
even when the defense is set up for it? Just do it anyway.
Any updates on the injured Alabama players per Nick Saban press conference after the game?
Trevor Lawrence bombed to Justin Ross. I feel like we say that every Saturday night.
I think turf toe for Deontay Brown. I think still dealing with the turf toe.
Yeah, everything's kind of delayed with all the ceremony stuff. So my usual folks who hook me up are not doing so at this time. So I don't think there's much information on those injured players at this moment. But obviously, you know, Bama's going to get a big break here. Now, everybody is, but Bama's going to get a big break here and get 3-4 weeks off, at least game-wise. So you expect Bama to be good. Turf toe is one of those things, Kev. Did you ever have a turf toe?
Yeah, it sucks.
You just got to wait, right? You can't really do anything.
You can't do anything with it. You have to just
so rest is required.
Yeah, you either have to rest or you have to just suck it up and play.
Yeah,
because 9 times
be good.
You get it on
not the same thing as a turf toe, but in my Thanksgiving flag football game, I had someone step on my toe.
Oh,
it's
Jesus
nasty
Christ.
as hell. It's black and blue.
But did you haul in the pass anyway, Dave?
No, I did a spin move on this old guy, and I passed him. It's like I had him. I'm like, yeah, you did, and then I kind of put you on your toes. But no, my toe was all black and blue still, and like you can move, but like if you move a lot, it starts to get annoying. So yeah, for sure, those injuries are a pain in the hell.
Now we're comparing Deontay Brown's turf toe to Dave's stepped on toe. Flag football.
The point is that those lower extremity injuries are tough.
Point is, you overthink.
Point is,
you don't realize how important a toe is when
anything
you're
foot related sucks.
Yes,
anything foot related sucks. Turf toe, you get it in your big toe, and you can't push off. It hurts. It's the only thing you can really do for it is ice and ultrasound, and that's about it.
Right.
Take some good pain meds.
Right, so they got a month to prepare for either Oklahoma or Georgia. Where do you see this
or
team?
Notre Dame?
I would love that.
Don't rule out Notre Dame slipping down, man. Don't rule that out.
But this defense got to pick up the pieces. I mean, this is not an Alabama type of defense. They can't be pleased with what they put forth tonight.
Honestly, I think the assignments, I think there was a lack of execution tonight with that second level, and that's really been the level we've focused in on. The D-line did not seal the edge or set the edge very well. I thought Buggs, Jennings, Miller all had some missteps in setting the edge, but really the second level guys, I think, is where the questions remain. When you have guys who can exploit them one-on-one, whether it's a tight end like Isaac Nauta, which we saw tonight, whether it's a running back like DeAndre Swift, which we saw tonight, those guys can be exploited. There were just the big plays Georgia had. That's kind of a point of focus of where they were to be had. Everything it felt like was down the middle, right? It felt like it was straight down the middle or a running play. So those guys, I think they'll be the first ones to tell you they need to be more accountable. And it's little things. It's nothing athletic. It's nothing very complex, at least from where I sit. For instance, on the Isaac Nauta touchdown, it's a simple cover two, which Jake Fromm recognized from the jump. But, the simple components of the underneath coverage is you got to reroute the wide receivers. You got to reroute your closest threat. Nauta was the closest threat to Dylan Moses, and while he did get hands on Nauta, there was no reroute. Nauta didn't have to regather one step. The stem of his route was fluid, without limitation, without slowing down. And the timing was there with Fromm and Nauta, and you saw what he did with an accurate football before the safeties could converge. On the other long Nauta play, on the other side of the field, which was more of a man coverage look, Mack Wilson drifted inexplicably outside. It was man coverage, so this wasn't a zone look, which has been the source of a lot of problems with these linebackers. This was a man look. So you're saying, okay, was Isaac Nauta assigned to Mack Wilson? No, he wasn't. He was assigned to the running back. But the running back stayed in the pocket and protected Jake Fromm. So there's two options typically for a linebacker at that point, as far as I understand it. You green dog blitz, which means if you recognize that he's blocking, you can go. Rush the passer, keep an eye on that back, affect the throw. Or you naturally sink and you play kind of an underneath robber type of position. So you want to drop vertically, not horizontally, to try to make a play on the ball and kind of read and react. You become an extra underneath defender. Every time you see a linebacker make a pick six, they're usually the extra underneath defender. But for some reason, Mack drifted outward. He drifted horizontally and kind of opened the door for Jake Fromm to make the play to Nauta, who did beat, I believe it was Shy Carter or Xavier McKinney one-on-one to make the play that he did, and it was like a 50-yard gain. But if Mack drifts the right way, and if he becomes that underneath defender and feels where Fromm is looking and just gets vertical first before reacting, that window is not there. Or at a minimum, it's a tighter window for Fromm to make the throw. So you got to either blitz or you get vertical in the drop. There was a hesitation and then a drifting outwards from Mack Wilson, and I don't think that was something that aided Alabama on the play, and it was something that obviously left the door wide open for Jake Fromm as well as Isaac Nauta on two of his big plays. So the inside backers have been catalysts, almost common denominators between a lot of big plays going down against Alabama recently in the passing game. In the running game, look, Swift made plays, right? He broke tackles. He outran guys with relative ease. Deontay Thompson struggled tackling him. Savion Smith struggled there on the goal line. He's just quicker and faster than most. So you can kind of live with those things, but schematically, things were there. I thought Tosh Lupoy did a good job of getting those guys in as pass rushers and blitzers on different occasions to counter kind of the hey, we're playing in space. We're a little bit out of our natural element, which both of those guys seemingly were. I thought he did a good job kind of redirecting with those guys and getting them forward instead of backward laterally with coverage responsibility, which is something that has been an issue that's popped up every now and then. It seemed like Georgia's plan was to get vertical and stay in between the hashes with an accurate quarterback, and they had all those elements, and I think it's part of the reason they had such a big lead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think going forward, getting a healthy, even if he's 90% back, a healthy Terrell Lewis on the edge will give them much needed athleticism, pass rush ability. Jennings had a solid game. Miller was okay. But yeah, getting back a guy like that would be huge, I think, going forward.
I got I got a quote. I got Saban's quote on Tua. Tua actually sprained his ankle in the first half.
Okay.
He came back out and played. The other injury, he got stepped on his foot, which I don't think is significant. So we're going to evaluate his ankle tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to be something that will keep him out maybe for a little while, but we probably won't practice for a couple weeks anyway. But we'll know more about that tomorrow.
Excellent. So, good stuff.
Yeah. Could always be worse. Could always be worse there. So, like we said, Bama's going to have time here. By the way, it's raining in this Clemson Pitt game. I don't know if it was always raining, but I just
Charlotte. It's been raining. It's been raining here all day.
Yeah, Kev's in Charlotte. He could tell you what the weather's looking like, but Clemson's already up 14-0, so it might not matter.
What's the score in the Ohio State game?
I had to flip over here.
7-7, I think. It was 7-7 a minute ago. Still 7-7.
How about that? I mean, Northwestern's had a kind of an odd year, but in the Big Ten, they've been great. Ohio State is on the doorstep of reclaiming the lead, and they do with a J.K. Dobbins touchdown run. So Ohio State up 14-7 in a game that feels like it doesn't matter. Feels like this game doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Do y'all feel that? Like, I feel like if it's not Georgia, we know Notre Dame's in, Clemson's in, Bama's in, right? That's chalk. If it's not to be Georgia, it feels like it is going to be Oklahoma before Ohio State anyway.
Oh, 100%.
Right. Okay. So, this game feels like it kind of doesn't matter anymore. Although Ohio State would need to blow them out to increase their stock, if you will. But if you take the whole body of work and you're looking at the four best teams, I don't know how Ohio State becomes one of them, other than the statement win over Michigan, in which you still gave up nearly 40 points. Not a whole lot of wow, that team can win it all in the vibe with Ohio State there.
I mean, the Penn State game that they came back and then won in the fourth quarter. That was kind of impressive. That's right. And that was early in the season.
State wasn't really.
Exactly. That was early in the season when Penn State was overrated at that time.
Right.
But has since fallen back in the pack. So, that was their most impressive. Those two wins, Penn State and Michigan, were two big wins for them. But looking at Georgia, back to the playoff picture here. Looking at Georgia, who were their big wins? Florida?
Almost today.
Okay. Almost today. Almost.
Kentucky, Florida. That's kind of it. That's kind of it. You're right.
So
you're right.
That don't impress me. You
got to get it done, right?
So close. You want to give them in because they played a great Bama team close and they almost won the game. Is that what the committee's going to do now?
Yeah, I don't know. I like you said. I mean, I don't think the committee puts him in. I'd put him in, but I don't think the committee will. And you can make the case against Georgia just as easily as you can make it for Georgia. Yeah. It's really simple. It's never been a two-loss. If you go on the resume, no way they're in. But if you go on the look test and tonight and you play prisoner of the moment, which, let's be honest, the committee can do because this comes out tomorrow. So it's not like they're going to sit on this for a week. This comes out, 15 hours from now. So that could aid Georgia, but if you go resume versus your eyeballs and your brain, there's two very different arguments for Georgia, and I think, like you said, I think Ohio State would probably get in before them, and I definitely think Oklahoma would get in before Georgia. I think the only chaotic scenario would be Clemson losing. I think that's really it at this point. 7:53 Central Time Saturday night, Clemson losing is the only chaotic scenario for me that could give Ohio State, Georgia, somebody like that some life. But they're up 14 in the rain with a good defense, so I don't think it's going to happen.
Georgia had 3 wins over ranked teams. They beat Florida, Kentucky, Missouri.
Those teams are all like they're not. None of them are top 10 teams. None of them impress me.
You can't throw out an SEC East win and be like, "Yep, that's the one."
No, Florida, UK, Mizzou. Those aren't impressive enough to put them in. I agree. And I'm hoping for Alabama and Irish semi-playoff.
You a little scared of Oklahoma there, Dave? How you feel about it?
I'm always scared of that quarterbacks like that. You know how it is on Saban's defense. It's the little guy running back there, little Johnny Manziel like.
Yeah.
Giving Saban a heart attack.
He's faster than Johnny Manziel.
Oh, no.
He wants to run it.
Yeah. Oh, he's explosive, man. He's shot of a cannon back there.
I don't want to like part of me is like, it's a shame he's not going to play in the league, but man. Whew.
No, I don't want to see that. I don't want no part of Kyler Murray first round.
They had an interesting, if in case that conversation starts to pick up, which I'm sure we'll cover, Oklahoma's best receiver went down today in that game, Hollywood Brown.
Hollywood Brown?
Yeah. He
down like ankle or down like
carted off down.
Carted off hurt. Like,
so I haven't followed up.
Hurt.
Yes.
Ouch.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know an update there. I hadn't looked for it. I'm going to look for it now because I'm curious. But
that'd be a big loss for them.
That could be a big storyline. Absolutely. Although I think the secondary is going to get kind of beat up a little bit in the conversation when it comes to Alabama moving forward. But we outlined some of the reasons why it's not all on the true DBs. But if you look at the corners, I thought they all played pretty well today. Maybe I'm alone there.
Shy Carter's
been unbelievable. Unbelievable.
He's
blitzing.
He's bowling to the point where now he could have a conversation with his agent. Is it a time for me to go pro? But that's a conversation for after the season. But he's bowling well enough the last couple of games where he's in that conversation at least. 5 weeks ago, there's no one cared about Shy Carter. You're not on the draft radar yet, but the last couple of weeks he's been outstanding.
Yeah, he's in the NFL now. That's a starter, right? That nickel back who can do a little bit of everything. That's a starter.
Oh, you get a lot.
That's a starting position. Right. That's a real thing now.
You're right.
Absolutely.
Nickel corner is a starter.
Yeah, I just thought those guys played well. Smith played well. He was in position. Somebody tweeted us about the touchdown that Fromm threw to Ridley.
There's
that's
nothing
perfect.
you could have done.
You can't do anything about that.
There's literally nothing that could have been done on that play. That was the best thrown ball of the night. I mean, that ball was put exactly where it needed to be.
Yeah, I thought so too. But that's Twitter for you. But I thought he was in position all night. And going into the game, that was one of the reasons I thought Bama would beat Georgia, because on the outside, Ridley, Hardman, Terry Godwin, those guys, they didn't scare you. They weren't guys who you thought, man, this guy can get loose and really change things up. The guys who should have scared you were the ones who ended up more productive in Swift, Nada, those guys up the middle, not the wide receivers. And I thought the secondary played pretty well. There were some missed assignments. The safeties I didn't think had their best day against the run or pass. But I thought all things considered, the Bama secondary played well, because I just think the narrative is going to be, okay, Oklahoma, Bama. Oklahoma's going to throw it all over the place, right? And Bama's coming off this game where they allowed X amount of yards to Jake Fromm, et cetera, et cetera. But let's not act like the secondary was torched today. The defense was torched, and there are a couple different reasons why. But the secondary itself in the passing game, I don't think man-to-man lost a lot of battles or left a lot of room to be gravely concerned. The yardage is the yardage, so there should be some concern, but not a, hey, Bama, Oklahoma is 100% going to be a shootout kind of thing. It may happen that way, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. That's all.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think if they play Oklahoma, I mean, it could be an offense. It's going to be definitely a more offensive-minded game than most people would want to see, but I still think that that Bama defense makes it not a shootout.
Yeah, and that Oklahoma defense. Whew, if we talk about Ole Miss being the remedy for struggling offenses, man,
Oklahoma's
at least
they would be able to run They would be able to run the ball down their throats. So I mean, easy.
Because Oklahoma doesn't have it.
Nobody stopped Bama's running attack this year.
Oklahoma doesn't have it on either side of the ball up front. Let's be honest. They have some
draftable offensive linemen, I think.
They have
a couple guards. Ben Powers, I think.
And the offensive line is better than their defensive line, but still their offensive line, I mean, just minus the center and I think the left guard, I mean, there's not much as far as we're talking about Big 12 offensive linemen. So I don't know. I don't think
there's no update, by the way, on
Kyler around.
No update, by the way, on Hollywood Brown for some reason, but he was in crutches in the second half. But no official word from Lincoln Riley and the crew over there. But like anything else, I'm sure we'll get more clarity into the week, not weekend because we are in the weekend, but into the week with his injury. But that could be an early storyline to keep an eye on because he is their best receiver. CeeDee Lamb's pretty good, more of a slender, longer guy, and then the tight end Calcaterra, who had the one-handed catch to seal it. Good. That will be interesting because he's better than Isaac Nada, and Isaac Nada
he's an
just
unbelievable receiving tight end.
That could be the matchup in that game should it come to that. But I think Hollywood Brown is their best wide receiver. He's definitely their biggest big play wide receiver. Yes. Yeah, most dangerous guy. He's the guy that scares you most. He's the Ruggs, if that makes sense. He's the Ruggs of that group in terms of just pure explosion. He's the
Waddle of that, yeah.
Ruggs, Waddle. You get what I'm saying.
Good comparison,
Just guys who every time they touch you, like, holy crap, just tackle him, please. Make the tackle. Yeah, he's their guy who does that. I don't think they have another one like that besides Kyler Murray, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, guys, I'm going to drop out here, but great win. Great job on the pod so far, and I'll catch you guys this week. Good stuff coming your way, Bama fans. Lots of good content.
Hi, Dave.
Congratulations, Dave. I'll see your Jalen Hurts jersey in the mail, buddy.
Eddie.
He didn't even answer that. He's like, yeah, I'm gone. Okay, guys, bye.
Bye. Not even going to discuss it.
Out of there. So, yeah, that Oklahoma matchup would be interesting. Notre Dame, I think, would be a lot more chalk and conventional and favorable. I think that spread would be very healthy.
Yes.
I think the spread will be strong either way. But I think
the spread, the spread in the Oklahoma game isn't what I'd like to see. The over under for the Oklahoma.
That total would probably be 65, 70, maybe. It'd be a big number. For those who don't know, that's a big number.
Yes.
That is a big number, especially for a game involving Alabama. You usually don't see. I think the only game where there was a 70-point total was the Ole Miss game, right, Kev? I think. I know we usually just pick the spreads, but I think the total for the Ole Miss Bama game was 73 maybe, and of course Bama scored 67 by themselves, so they covered that.
Yeah, it was. I'll see if I can find it, but yeah, I mean we usually just look at the spread, but I don't remember the over under for that one.
Yeah, just quick note here, Tua left the game in a cart after the whole celebration and all of that. So, just in terms of the severity of the injury there, that's still something that that's something that is obviously we're going to be talking about for a very long time until this semifinal. But I guess I want to turn it to the fans, Kev. I know the conversation's been popping in the comments.
Yeah, man.
What is the Bama fan pulse of Jalen Hurts starting game one of the playoff? I mean, what is the worry level? Is it dependent on who the opponent is, or do you, as a Bama fan, do you just feel good about it if Tua's not out there? As good as you can without a Heisman candidate, but do you feel – I guess I'm trying to ask, how much better would you feel about Jalen today being the starter against Notre Dame or Oklahoma or maybe Georgia again, technically, or Ohio State if they get crazy? How much better do you feel about Jalen Hurts as the starter if it comes to that? And I'm not trying to create the controversy. I'm just talking about if Tua's not good enough to play, how confident do you feel in Jalen, provided he gets healthy, to lead the offense? It's kind of back to week one stuff, other than that there's an injury now too.
Dang. People already said no. See? Bama fans.
Well, see, I think it's an interesting question because if Oklahoma's the opponent, the expectation, and now, like you said, what's the over-under of that game going to be? The expectation is going to be points. But, I mean, Sam Ehlinger in Texas, who beat Oklahoma before and had a chance to beat them today, I heard during the broadcast they haven't had a play of 50 yards all year. Yet Texas won a shootout with Oklahoma once and almost did it again today. So I think that just the conventional thought of long passes being the way to play with these Big 12 teams, I think that's a bit of a misconception. You don't have to do it that way. You can be methodical. And as Dave said, and as every analyst in the world or even a casual fan would point out, that Oklahoma defense is not good. So you don't have to go bombs away. You can play a balanced approach, run the football, and still get to those point totals. let's not pretend that Bama couldn't put up 50 before this year. It was less consistent, sure, but Bama in a more balanced approach could still get to that point. But the bigger questions would be who's calling the plays, what is the health of Jalen versus Tua, and all these fun things. But that Oklahoma defense will allow you to score however you would like to score. The secondary is not good. That front seven is nothing to sneeze at, or to be worried about, I should say. From especially when you're Alabama, thinking of that offensive line getting healthy and these running backs who continue to kind of be underutilized. Northwestern just threw a pick in the end zone to Sean Wade, who a lot of us thought was going to Alabama. Let's not forget about these running backs. 7 yards a carry tonight. Najee gets the big run on his first tote. Jacobs gets a huge run. Damian Harris comes back with a huge run on that same drive. On two of the nicer play designs from Mike Locksley, they overloaded one side with a wing and a tight end, went play side on one with them pulling, and then on the very next look, they flipped a field with it, and then they go counter to play off of the successful run they just had. So there were some good elements of Mike Locksley today, in addition to the end when Jalen came in. I thought he constructed some of those looks pretty well. But with those running backs and that offensive line, regardless of the quarterback, I think you could put up points against Oklahoma. So that's why I asked the question. I wanted people to kind of, I guess, show some fear for Oklahoma because of the threat of scoring and the perception that you have to throw deep to score a bunch of points, which, Texas showed us and has shown us twice this year with an inferior team that it can be done against that Oklahoma defense. Kev, put your Bama fan hat on if you have one. What's the confidence level of Jalen against some of these opponents? Rank the fear, I guess. That makes sense. Rank the fear. Who scares you the most to see Jalen be the starter for Alabama against Georgia, Oklahoma, Ohio State, maybe Notre Dame? Those four.
All right. I'll put the Bama hat on for a second.
Go ahead and wear it. I know you used to have one.
I got one around here somewhere.
Yeah. You still got Bryant Denny in there in the background, don't you?
Yeah. Well, we're rearranging some stuff.
Oh, well, you used to.
Yeah, no, it's here. It's sitting over there. We're rearranging the office and stuff. But for me, I think I would struggle with my confidence level if they have to play Georgia again. That would be my number one, not feeling as confident. Then I would feel okay against Oklahoma just because that defense is trash, and the threat of having to score a lot of points would scare me, but that defense is trash. I feel like Mac Jones could
Mac Jones, get him in there.
My obligatory Mac Jones plug for the show. I feel like Mac Jones could torch Oklahoma's defense. I would feel okay with against Notre Dame. I feel like Jalen could beat Notre Dame. And who was the other one? Ohio State.
Ohio State. Just the four candidates for the fourth spot, I guess.
Ohio State. Yeah.
Of course, if Clemson somehow loses this game, then they would be a candidate for the fourth spot.
True.
Dun, dun, dun.
Then you get Trevor Jalen.
Oh, I need Trevor too. I'm sorry. I love Jalen and I love the story. I'm a journalist, like all of those things. But man, I need. We only got 2 possible years that this thing could happen. So I need Trevor versus Tua. All the storylines, Clemson, Bama, Part 4. I just need that at some point, just selfishly. So
exactly.
Football gods, if you're listening, holla at me.
Yeah, I think that could be. I think that's a good possibility, and I definitely would want to see Tua, Trevor, 2 of the top quarterbacks in the country. I think that. So okay. Oklahoma scares me just because of the points, but the defense is trash. So I think Jalen can win that game. I think Jalen beats Notre Dame. I don't think Jalen beats Georgia in a full game again. And then Clemson, don't think Jalen could beat Clemson either.
Yeah, so it seems like it's unanimous between you and I'm looking at some of the comments in the chat here. Notre Dame is the least scary opponent, it sounds like. Right?
Yeah, in my opinion.
We know Bama fans want to play Ohio State in general because we already did that poll.
Because we did that poll, yeah.
But the least scary opponent of people who we think have a shot at this fourth spot seems like it's Notre Dame. So yeah, that's see, Guest Tech Sports says no worries with Notre Dame. That seems like the consensus, and I think when you struggle to beat Vandy, and Vandy should have won that game. I've said it all year. Dude dropped the pass that would have put him in field goal range to tie it, I believe. Yeah. Speaking of drop passes tonight, holy crap! It seems like Notre Dame is the least feared opponent compared to some of those other ones, and that's interesting to me too. I don't know, that Oklahoma defense is so suspect to me. I just can't envision Alabama losing to that group because of that defense. But again, if it's the Heisman winner Kyler Murray and his dual threatness, and we know that has hurt Bama in the past, and these linebackers aren't exactly space monsters, I could see that being an issue, but it's just hard to envision that defense, regardless of the situation, hoisting up some type of trophy after defeating this Alabama team with or without Tua, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I mean, Bama's got 4 weeks. We've seen some weirdly fast recoveries from this team over the years. So I would be shocked at this point if Tua wasn't going to be out there, although he was definitely non-weight bearing today after he got hurt. And as we said, he was carted off thereafter. So Bama's taken all precautions with Tua, regardless of what has been said. But again, we'll get clarity there in the next couple of days. Kev, anywhere else in tonight's game you want to go to? I feel like we haven't spent much time on it because there's been so many other storylines to get to, whether it's the irony of Jalen Hurts, Nick Saban crying, Kirby Smart making an unbelievable call and showing some stubbornness with that fourth down play. Anywhere else you want to go to with the game tonight? Because I'm sure we'll spend a lot of time going forward talking about the potential playoff matchups. And we may just go live during the playoff show tomorrow. Maybe that's something we can put together. I'll hit my producer for it. Oh, hey, he's on. Kevin, where do we want to go for the remainder of the conversation? Anywhere else from the game you want to spend time on? What'd you see from the O-line? Lester Cotton got a lot of run today with Deontay Brown injured. Is there concern for the D-line or maybe the lack of a pass rush, or was that just Georgia's O-line and Fromm kind of collectively playing the game of their life?
Yeah, I don't think the offensive line. I mean, it's been a reoccurring theme here. With Deontay Brown dealing with this turf toe and he goes down. And I think that it's Deontay Brown needs to be healthy, I feel, in my opinion, for Alabama to win the national championship. He's got, 4 weeks to get off that foot and to get that thing healthy. I think there's a good chance that he could be upwards of 90 to 95% healthy after a whole month off that foot. My only concern with a Deontay Brown having 4 weeks of, and obviously he's not going to rest, but having 4 weeks of lightened work is what does that do to the his conditioning as he goes light for a month trying to get that foot healed? That would be my only concern, because we all know that Deontay has dealt with weight issues and stuff like that in his career. But does having a month of rest time affect that? Affect his conditioning? Obviously, if you're not going full out every day, it's going to affect it somewhat. But I definitely think he needs to be healthy for this team to win a national championship, just from what I've seen and what I've noted with the offensive line play, with him in there versus with him not in there. It just kind of looks completely different, in my opinion.
But Deontay Brown is tweeting. If you're curious about him, he is tweeting. He put a cap on ESPN's quote of Kirby Smart. Quote, "I promise you they don't want to play us," referring to Alabama. Deontay Brown put a cap on it, as did Chris Owens. Multiple Alabama players commenting on Kirby's comment. Of course, Kirby 0-2 against Alabama in the calendar year 2018. Pittsburgh scored a touchdown, but it just got called back because the kid stepped out at the 2. So Pittsburgh will have first and goal at the 2, down 14-3. So a touchdown there could make it at least a little bit more interesting in this ACC title game. But we've seen Clemson kind of sleepwalk through this thing the last few years and really not miss a beat in the playoff. At least when it has looked like a championship caliber team, which has been every year but last year, in my opinion. So I don't think too much cause for concern. But good for Pitt. Pitt has been a Jekyll and Hyde team this year, but they've had some really nice wins and offensively.
They look really good at sometimes.
Yeah, at different points they've looked good, as you can as a 7-5 team. Pitt has kind of flashed at times this year, but kind of that whole Coastal Division always limps into this game and gets blasted by whoever comes out of the Atlantic, and it looks like that'll happen again. Although for now, Pitt hanging in there. Maybe the rain's helping them out, slowing the game down there just a little bit, but yeah, this committee thing is going to get interesting, Kev, and this injury situation for Alabama will be part of it. The quarterback conversation will be a part of it, and again, what happens with Mike Locksley? Does he go? And if he does, how does that hierarchy work? Josh Gaddis is the co-offensive coordinator, not Dan Enos, although Dan Enos is the quarterback.
Yes. I mean, I feel like you'll probably get you would get a Gaddis promoted with Dan Enos co-coordinator?
Yeah, just throw the co-coordinator title on Enos. And
I mean, that would make the most sense to me. Because if you got Gaddis who's already co-signed and plays, then he's already, as a okay, so like I don't know how much people know about I don't know, it's different in every situation. But like with this I've heard people ask, why do they call him a co-offensive coordinator? Like what's going on with that? And it's different in every program.
Straight cash, homie. That's part of it. I said straight cash is part of it.
Yeah, it's cash. It's, it gets that title next to your name because if you're looking to move up in the coaching world, you have to have those titles. You have to most start as GA. They move to, analyst, position coach, and then you get that coordinator position, and then from there you move on and be a head coach if you are successful. The way we did it as our co-offensive coordinator was, we had a run game and a pass game coordinator, and they ran them off each other. So I think you'll see Gaddis moved into play calling duties, and then Enos would be his co-coordinator. And I think that would be a very good situation for Alabama.
Right, and just because there's titles, it doesn't mean that multiple coaches aren't already involved in the game planning every week. These guys all collaborate together. They're all watching the same team on tape. They're all looking for things. Heck, Nick Saban is inputting things into the offensive installation every single week. So don't forget those things. Yeah, especially when you got a month. I mean, dang.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just personally interested in the hierarchy because we know Enos has gotten so much credit for the development of Tua and the progression of Jalen Hurts. We know Enos has gotten a lot of credit, and deservedly so.
Absolutely.
But how does that work when he now has more responsibility? And again, Locksley deserves a lot of credit. Maybe not so much tonight, but in general, he's had a really good year. It's why he's a freaking head coaching candidate in the Power Five. So I'm curious about that dynamic because we saw two different teams almost when the OC went from Lane Kiffin to Steve Sarkisian. And Atlanta Falcons fans will tell you how that feels even today. But we saw a big change and a shift in that. So I just wonder how that looks in 2018 versus a couple of years ago. That's all.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a couple good candidates for that Maryland job. So who knows if Locksley even gets it? I think he should be the number one candidate. But also you have Matt Canada, who's he's the interim whatever right now. Also a strong candidate. But I mean, if you're Maryland and you see what he's doing right now, and you know what you are right now, and what you going, I mean, that would be a no-brainer for me if I'm Maryland.
Yeah, 100% no-brainer for that area. I mean, it's the one area where there shouldn't be a lot of conversation.
Yeah, I mean, look what he's done at Bama, and look how many of those guys out of that area are committed, are Alabama commits right now.
Yeah, he's gotten 2 5-stars in about a year and a half span, and a couple of 4-stars in between. So yeah, pretty good there. You already mentioned the Nick Saban quote on Tua. I just clicked on another story about it. So the first half was that sprained ankle, and then after that, he does not call that significant, even though that was seemingly the one that pushed him out for the remainder of.
That's what I thought that one was worse.
I would have reversed
than the first
it, right?
one.
Yeah. So that's.
I thought he broke a bone in his leg, to be honest, because the way he got stepped on, I thought for sure that it was broken, or at least something was in there. But I guess that's why I don't get paid to make decisions about stuff.
Yeah, Pitt did score that touchdown, by the way.
That's why I'm sitting behind a computer talking to you guys at 9:21 Eastern Standard Time.
Call reversed in the Ohio State game, so they got momentum up a touchdown, and again Pitt did score the touchdown, so it's 14-10 with under 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. So interesting. Again, we've said it with Clemson, man. That front four is excellent, but that back seven, man, it's not the same.
Hasn't Pitt been a thorn in their side before, though?
Yeah, Pitt beat them 2 years ago with Deshaun Watson. That was their only loss that year. He threw like 100 interceptions that day.
Shit.
And it was late in the season, too. It was one of those losses that made people think, oh, well, Clemson might not get in even if they win the ACC. Obviously, that didn't happen, and they won the national championship. But Pitt was the only team to beat that Clemson team. That's the one that Bama, of course, lost to. So, Pitt has been that Jekyll and Hyde, but they've been on the good side of that against Clemson over the last couple years. I'm trying to see if there's anything else from this game that I wanted to kind of dig into. I was kind of glad that the missed field goal from Rodrigo Blankenship didn't come back to hurt Georgia, and I was kind of glad that the Jake Fromm play, the first play of that final drive, was not ruled a fumble. I kind of wanted to see the game play out, and I didn't want a technicality to kind of end it, if that makes sense. I wanted to see kind of the whole way through. It's like at the end of an NBA game, it's tied. You don't want to see a foul called on that last jump shot. You want to see LeBron have to make it or not. So I kind of wanted to see that, and I was glad that happened. There was some sketchy officiating, calls, no calls, makeup calls, I thought. But through and through, I thought the team that deserved to win came through in the end and made it happen, despite all of the start could not have been worse for Alabama. Turnovers. I mean, if you throw 2 interceptions in the red zone and one of your receivers drops a touchdown in a very short span, if those 3 things happen, you probably shouldn't win a game against a very good team. And Alabama found a way to do that. I mean, there's so many things you can take away from this game. And everyone wanted to see what this Bama team would do against adversity. And they had more adversity today, physically, mentally, emotionally, than they had all season. And they still pulled it out in Atlanta, Georgia, which we all know has been a heavy Georgia vibe over the last couple of years. Especially under Kirby Smart. So I will say this, though. It was not as dominant in terms of UGA fans versus Bama fans tonight as it was for that national championship. In fact, Craig Kuligowski, a.k.a. Coach Cool, the D-line coach, tweeted this a few minutes ago. Bama fans, you are outstanding. You made a huge difference for us tonight. He spelled tonight wrong. It's cool. He had a big win. Our players are tough, competitive fighters. We're blessed to be a part of your program. #roll damn tide. So the fans made an impact on the coaching staff. So imagine the players there as well. So that is just interesting note. Bama fans were a little more prepared to spend against their Georgia counterparts for this game in Atlanta, which I think is interesting because this game, again, you could make the argument didn't really mean as much to Alabama. Now it does, and the storylines dictated that, heck yeah, it means a lot. But going into the game, I thought Bama was in regardless. So in that light, it didn't mean as much as Georgia. So the fact that there was a more even ratio, I thought, I don't know, was kind of cool. Just an interesting little note there. So let's run through some of the comments and see what you guys are thinking here. Not so much questions, more comments about a little bit of everything. That chat is going to be fun to revisit at a later date there. Kamala 80 says, I thought Deontay Thompson took some bad angles today. He ducked his head once or twice that I saw trying to tackle DeAndre Swift, but that's been tough for a lot of guys to do here this year. D-Pass says Michigan was overrated, been saying it for a while, and who you play matters. And I think that's one of the, as Dave pointed out, that's one of the things that is going to crush Georgia in this conversation, despite Kirby Smart's attempts to say otherwise, and despite Kirby Smart saying the quote that everybody's going to hear a bunch in that Bama doesn't want to play Georgia again. Well, they've played twice this year, and Bama's won both games. They weren't easy, but Bama's won both games with two different quarterbacks in two very different scenarios, despite injuries, despite a whole lot of crap. So take that for whatever it's worth, as Clemson looks to answer with a touchdown of their own. Travis Etienne with a big run to get Clemson into the red zone, and now they're inside the 5. So again, Clemson taking care of Pitt despite a heavy rain there in Charlotte, North Carolina. That'll be something to monitor going forward. But we're going to leave that right where it is. Alabama, 13-0, SEC champions. Full coverage, crimsonandbluechips.com, Crimson and Blue Chips here. Please subscribe if you haven't already. This is our main hub. This YouTube channel is where we go live when there are things to discuss, like tonight has been. Again, I'm thinking about doing something tomorrow as well during the selection show. I believe it's at 12:30 Eastern, so 11:30 Central Time. So depending on your service schedule, come back and hang out, and let's discuss this college football playoff, and we'll give immediate thoughts, off-the-rip thoughts, on Alabama's opponent in the college football playoff semifinal later this month. Will it be Georgia, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oklahoma, which is seemingly the most likely? We'll all find out together. We'll have immediate reactions, break it down, all of the latest for you guys right here, Crimson and Blue Chips on YouTube, the website, Twitter, Facebook, email, Instagram, however you want to connect. Producer Kev and the crew had you covered there with ways to interact with us, because, again, we are a representation and a reflection of you. We want to talk about what you want to talk about. So feedback always welcomed. But, again, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications every time we go live like we are now. iTunes, the podcast is there as well. Google Play, pretty much everywhere you want to consume something, we've tried to make it easy for you to get there. So we appreciate all of the support. It's getting to crunch time, everybody. Crunch time. Championships will be won or lost here in the next few weeks, and the CABC crew will be there to take care of all of it. Producer Kev, you there? You want to say goodbye? Any final thoughts for the folks tonight?
Yeah, just once again, guys, we appreciate you guys coming out, showing support. We definitely appreciate it. Definitely humbling, like, especially when we get on here and we got 50 plus, 75 plus at times. We're just two dudes that like to talk ball, and we do it for you guys. That's just the main thing is once again, we do it for you guys. And once again, I know John probably already plugged it, but website, crimsonandbluechips.com, and subscribe to the YouTube and do all the social media stuff, guys. We appreciate it, and we'll probably see you back here tomorrow if I caught what John was saying.
Yeah, you down for that? It's up to you, man.
Yeah, man. What time are they announcing tomorrow? I forgot.
I think it's at 12 or 12:30 Eastern, so 11:30 Central.
Yeah, we could probably make that happen. I definitely can get on. I'll definitely be able to get on here for a little bit tomorrow. Definitely.
All right, so come hang out with Producer Kev, probably yours truly as well, and we'll go live and go immediate reaction to this opponent for Alabama, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Georgia, maybe Notre Dame, maybe. Either way, it's a blue blood. Either way, it's somewhat familiar. Bama's played all these teams here in the last 5 years or so, so that'll be fun. So check back tomorrow, but again, subscribe to all of the technological advancements Kevin and the crew have figured out for you there, and come hang out when we go on. All right, Kev, we'll let you run. Thanks for putting us on today. Thank you to everybody for listening. We'll see you around the way. God bless Garcia and the crew. I guess we're out.
We're out.